Hey, my name is David. I'm with WeatheringtonPhoto.com, and in this video we're going to go over the tips that I learned that I'm going to share with you from doing the senior session with Jaedan. And I've got 3 of them plus a bonus one. The first one is to, it's pretty easy, just double check with your senior and your client to make sure that you are both on the same page. The time, not only the time and the date that you're going to show up, but the places that you're going to meet and you're going to go. Tip number 2 is to have at least a rough idea of game plan, of poses that you can turn to in case you can't think of things while you're going through the session. Tip number 3 is on a session is not a proper time to be learning new equipment. Tip number 4, the bonus one, is to use a larger modifier. In this video series, I'm going to share with you a tip or 2 of the things that I've learned while doing my senior photos this past year. These are going to be tips where I critique myself, and I do this in order to get better. That way I can get better with each session. So if you want to learn with me, learn from the mistakes that I've made so that you don't make them yourselves, follow along. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can see more of these. All right, tip number 1 is to double check with your senior or your client on the times and the locations you're going to be shooting. The situation we're in with Jaedan, we were meeting up in Centerville, and then in my expectations we were going to go to the high school. But when we get to the session, they let me know that they were wanting to go to the covered bridge too, which is not a big deal. The covered bridge is a pretty cool place to take photos. A lot of people in Centerville take photos there, and then people come from all over to take photos over there too. And they did mention this in their notes or in the correspondence beforehand, but I didn't catch it. So if I would have just mentioned to Jaedan the night before, or a couple nights before, hey, we're going to meet up at 5 o'clock downtown, and then we're going to take a little bit of time there and then head over to the school. Does this look good? She could have responded with, we want the covered bridge too. So when we get to the session, they say they want the covered bridge. The problem is your portrait photography, you're fighting against the sun. So we show up at 5. I got time for 2 locations, downtown and then the school. So we gotta go downtown, head north to the covered bridge, about 8-10 minutes. Not terribly far, but when you're fighting against sunset, it's terribly far. So we do the session downtown, head 8-10 minutes north, quick session, 8-10 minutes back to where we just were, 2-3 minutes back to the high school. So we did kind of a double track, backtracking thing when we could just met at the covered bridge and then just did a straight line. Wouldn't have made things so rushed. All of it could have been avoided with me just sending out a simple message a night or 2 before. Hey, this is what we're going to do tomorrow. Does this look good? All right, tip number 2 that I have is to have at least a rough idea of poses that you can refer to if you're struggling to come up with ideas. A lot of times, I know with me, I have a shot or 2 in mind that I want to get, and in Jaedan's session, I was concentrating on video a lot. So my mind just wasn't focused. It couldn't process simple poses. It was like blank. It was embarrassing. It's actually the reason why I created the PDF as just a quick list of poses that I can turn to in case I just come for a loss of words and I can't come up with something. I can at least turn to it, get me back on track. In fact, I'll leave that PDF and a link below if you want it. Just in case you do need it, it's nice just to have a quick reference. All right, tip number 3 is on a session is not the proper time to be learning new equipment. In my defense, I did try to learn the equipment before. I had just gotten high-speed sync, I don't know, 3-4 days before. I did take my son out a couple of days before and tried it and practiced it, and I thought I had it, and I didn't. And then when I got to the session, I didn't fully understand what was going on, like the Kodak system. If you don't hit the little button that says high speed, the sync symbol, when you go past the sync speed and the shutter, the flash just automatically shuts the shutter back down to 250 or whatever your sync speed is. and I didn't realize that, so I was overblowing the sky when I really wanted an underexposed sky. And I'm just sitting there watching all this happen, looking at my shutter going, no, it should be at 1,000th of a second. And every time I hit the shutter, it goes back down to 250th, not realizing I was missing one button. If I had practiced better before with my son, I could have got better photos with Jaedan, especially at the covered bridge when it was really bright out. So on a session, while it is cool to get new equipment on the session, is not the proper time to be learning new equipment. You should do that in advance at home when nobody's time is being wasted except for yours and maybe a friend's. All right, tip number 4, not necessarily a tip, but a bonus tip, is I had a shot of Jaedan, and I was using a beauty dish. I was using the beauty dish pretty much the whole session. It was a great modifier, great especially for like a 3/4 headshot. It works perfect. The shot that I would have liked to have a larger modifier, the 32-inch Octobox, is a full-length shot where the catcher helmet was on the ground, and then she's standing there. I didn't have time to go grab a larger modifier. I should have had that on location with us right there in the dugouts on the side of the field instead of way down by the car. So I had two choices. I could either, and I was going through them in my head at the session, at the field too, just trying to do my best to expose the legs, the bottom half of her body as well as I could, while still getting the sunset in the photo as well, but then also making sure the exposure on her head and body isn't overexposed while I'm trying to bring as much light down onto her legs as I could. So I could either crop and just do another half body shot, or I could keep the full length one and try to bring back the legs as much as possible, which is what I did. I'm happy with the shot, but knowing in the back of my mind that it could have been a better shot if I would just brought a better modifier, a little bit larger one. So the bonus tip is to have a larger modifier available for you when you can. You can't always have it, but when you can, you're carrying all your equipment to the dugout anyway. You might as well grab that one last extra umbrella just so it's right there within 5-10 feet instead of 300 feet away, however far it was from where we were to the car. All right, so let me know in the comments below, out of these 4 tips, double check with your client, not having a posing list, and then not trying new equipment on this session, and then having a larger modifier. Which one of these have you found yourself in? Or if you notice a mistake that I made during the session, let me know in the comments below. That way I can get better. And then I'd love to hear your guys' feedback, your criticism. And just remember, it is something that I cherish and I love and very proud of. And as long as you're friendly, I would love to hear from you guys about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name's David. And until then, see you guys next time.